Our new topic is to define enterprise HCM information. So suppose that you have used your enterprise structure configurator and you actually created an enterprise and you actually loaded also. You did a load and everything. So our enterprise will be created in a system, and in order to view the details related to that enterprise, if we have a task, that is the enterprise HCM information task. So there you can go and you can see many details like your enterprise name, enterprise location. Then you can see the details like how you want your person number to be generated, how you want your worker number to be generated. So there is a lot of details. There is a start time, there is a working hours. So all those things can be actually set at an enterprise level. Suppose that you have not opted for ESC and you are actually doing each and every task manually. So the first task will be you will go to enterprise system information and there you will enter the details for enterprise and you will also enter additional details which we'll see later on what are the additional details. Let me go to the screen and after that I will go one by one to each and every. So the task for this enterprise or to see the detail which of the enterprise which you have created or which you will be creating or which is already created in the system. So you have to go to the task manage information. So the task name is manage enterprise system information. So you will go to your implementation project. You will use this wildcard character and you will actually try to search for this task and also actually. So we'll click on go to task. So already we have this instance which is a test instance. A lot of things has been done on this. So enterprise was already created. In your case, what you guys have to do, you have to go to this task, you have to click edit, you have to go to correct and see the detail. Make sure that you don't do any changes in this place. So the effective start date is actually wrong. Somebody has actually set it wrong. It should be 119001 or 1191. Then you have a name of your enterprise. Then you have a status, you have a different actions, action reason that why it was created. Then you have a location of your enterprise. So remember if you have used ESC, Enterprise Structure Configurator, then these were the different informations which we gave there. Now, if you have used ESC and you have actually loaded also, so these details will get populated in this place. The other detail is something which you have to come to this task and you have to fill it. Now if I come below, it is your workday information, like what is your start time, what is your end time of your company, what is the standard working hours of your company. So for this company, it is 40 hours weekly. So depending upon your client requirement, you can ask them that what is your standard working hours. Coming to the next thing, what is the worker number generation? So the entire Fusion application is actually controlled by a person number. Worker number is just a field in our Fusion applications. So we generally use the worker number to store any additional details. Suppose that if some client is migrating a data from eBusiness to Fusion applications and they had the worker number in eBusiness suite and they still want to capture that data. So we will use the worker number. But the entire Fusion application is actually governed by person number. So there are different worker number generation methods. If you don't want to use, you can make not used. If you want to make sure that you use this, so you can either go with a manual approach or either go with an automatic approach. So if you go with automatic approach, a sequence will be assigned. Suppose that if it is a automatic, suppose that if you use this automatic generation user legal employer sequence. So for each legal employer, a sequence will be started, at least a start from 1. And if you use a global sequence, so for each employee, a unique worker number will be generated. And again, it starts with 1. So one worker employee can have a worker number 1, the other will have 2, the other will have 3. It will go like that.
So Praveen,
Yeah.
the worker number generation, let's say if we are converting from another system to Fusion. So if the client want to use from wherever it ends, if they want to start from that number, do we need to do any configuration there?
In that case, suppose there are two ways. First of all, you are migrating the data, so you have to put this under manual.
Okay.
Okay. Once you do this manual, you will migrate the data using HDL or any other tool, because while migrating, you will give the worker number in the data file. And once you are done, after that, you have to put this into manual mode only. And HR, while entering the person information while hiring, they will enter the number there, worker number.
No, what
So
I'm
this HR
saying is
has to
like,
take care. I got your
okay.
point. Suppose that it ends at 1,000, then you want that system should automatically take care that it is like 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, something like that. But for worker number, it is not there. We have this facility for person number,
So
because see,
after
yeah, worker,
after they converted the
yeah.
full everything data, so once it is
Mm-hmm.
go live and up and running, if they are hiring a new hire in Fusion Cloud application, so they have to create manually the employee number starting 1001.
Yeah, because the main reason Oracle is not allowing, because Oracle wants us to use person number. The entire Oracle HCM, whether it is HCM or financials or anything, is actually driven by person number. Worker number is only an additional field for you to store any data or any number from other old ERP.
Okay, so the personal number is that's the employee number.
Everything. Person number is employee number. So whenever you search an employee, you have to search by person number. If you do a search by worker number, nothing will come.
So the personal number, this is what I'm talking about. So the personal number is the
Yeah.
employee number.
Yeah. So we'll come to that. Person number is the employee number. This worker number is like, it is giving you a flexibility to hold additional information in case if you're migrating from an old ERP to a new ERP.
Okay, got it.
So if the client wants to retain the old employee numbers, we have to use the manual then, right?
So employee numbers in this case will be your person number. So person number will come back to that. We'll discuss on person number.
No, in ERP, employee number is what we are referring to, the person number.
Yeah.
Correct? See, the person ID is different.
Worker number and person number. So each ERP actually runs by some number. So maybe in e-business suite, it can be a worker number or employee number. The terminology can be different.
Employee number
It
in
is
e-business suite. Yeah.
Okay. So in our Fusion application, it is person number.
Mm.
So employee number of e-business suite will be mapped to person number.
So what is this worker number then?
It is again an additional field which Oracle has given to you. Suppose that client has a requirement that for me, I'm going with a press implementation. I want my person number to start from 1,000. I will actually change. It doesn't matter to me what was my person number in the old ERP.
So how is it going to be mapped? How is it going to be mapped? See, let us say, let's take an example. L&T has got employee numbers starting with L001. That is the code structure they have, right? L001, L005, L1005. It's got, right? Now, that is the employee number, correct? The existing one.
Yeah.
Now here, what you are trying to say is the person number will be the same, like L001 or L1001, right? So the worker number will be the new number which Oracle is going to generate. It may be like 1001 or 1000 or it may start from 001 or it may start from 10,001 or whatever the client wants, correct?
Sure.
So how is it going to be tied up? How is it going to be mapped?
Yeah. So see, there are two cases which can happen. I will take an example of L&T. Just for time being, don't think about worker number. We'll only focus on a person number. Okay. Now the client, there can be two ways. Either L&T will say that we want our old employee number in the new system also. We don't want to change our employee number. So if our employee was having a employee number L001, so we want the same employee number or a person number in HCM as a L001. So what we will do is that we will capture that in a person number. So I didn't talk about person number generation. So we can do all those things in a person number generation. The entire Oracle HCM is driven by person number. Okay. Now, suppose that client also has some other number, maybe like some other numbers in old ERP, maybe some other than e-business suite, they were also using some old ERP a day back, maybe before e-business suite, and they were having some other sort of number also, and they also want to capture that information. So now you have two numbers. One was your employee number and one can be some other number. So that other number can be captured under worker number. Worker number is nothing but it is like an additional space Oracle HCM is giving you to capture any additional number of which is attached to an employee. Coming to a person number, you can actually retain the old number which was there in an organization. So in that case, you can select an option manual. So you can see there are multiple options available. You can use a manual option. Second option is you can actually give an initial person number like 1000 or 10,000, and you will can select an option that automatic prior to submission or automatic upon final save. So what will happen as soon as you will try to hire a person and you have set an option that person number will be generated automatically. The initial person number starts with 10,000. So as soon as you will keep on hiring, the person number will again keep on increasing. Like it will be 10,000, then it will be the next person will be 10,001, 10,002, 10,003. So it will keep on going like that. Or in case you want to retain your old employee number, then in that case you have to select the option manual. You have to do the load. And while doing a load, we'll see that there is a column for person number also. So there we'll give our old employee number, and the old employee number will come and fit into the Oracle HCM also. So any question on the person number and a worker number? Worker number is just like an additional field which Oracle is giving you in case you want to capture any number associated with an employee. It need not to be an employee number. Employee number will always be your person number in HCM.
So what is the difference between prior to submission and final save that under personal number generation?
I will come to that. Any confusion between person number or a worker number?
No, it's good. You're good.
Okay. Now, person number can be either done manual. So what happens in manual, whenever HR hires an employee, the person number field will be editable. So HR will go and enter some detail there. That is manual approach. Now, whenever you hire an employee, either a person number will be generated in the first transaction only. And if you remember our yesterday exercise where we tried hiring an employee. So on the first train stop, we entered legal entity, person name, and all those details. So either a person number can be generated as soon as you initiate a transaction, or a person number will be generated as soon as you complete a transaction, that you click on submit. If you want a person number to be generated after completing the transition, then you will use automatic upon final save. If you want to use a person number, if you want to generate a person number as soon as you initiate a transaction, maybe you can cancel a transaction in a midway or transaction cannot get submitted successfully. If you want to generate a person number at that time, so you have to use automatic prior to. The demerit of using automatic prior to submission is that many times what happens, we don't complete the transactions or employee, the transaction is not complete or maybe due to some XYZ reason and the person number is wasted.
So transaction is the information above in this page, right?
A transaction will come to see. So whenever you hire an employee, you have a different train stop. Remember we tried hiring an employee yesterday. So on the first train stop, we enter detail like your legal entity, first name, last name. Second train stop, we enter the details like address. Third was the train stop where we enter the detail like business unit, jobs and department. And once you do the entire transaction, you will click submit.
So just here we are going to define at the enterprise level how we are going to use the employee number in the organization, in the Oracle basically the setup, right? In the application.
Yeah. So whether you want your employee number, you want your employee number to be manual or whether you want to be automatic.
Okay. So loading the employee level, the employee numbers are totally different. It's on totally different screen, I guess. So this is only just the setup for the organization level where you're going to say, okay, I am using the automated employee number generation, or I'm going to use the manual one. Let us say if you have an manual one, we load everything, then we continue from there on, right? Either automatically or, I'm sorry?
The entire page will actually help you to do some settings, which can be driven at an enterprise level.
Enterprise, okay, makes sense.
So if you're if you're actually setting the working hour at this place, then it is actually by default it will flow to each and every department, each and every legal employer, because you have done the setting at enterprise only. So it will actually go and sit on the below component, which is your department, which is your legal employer, because enterprise is our topmost thing. So if we are doing a setting there, the same thing will go and sit on the children.
These are all standard, it cannot be changed at the individual level basically, right? Standard across. So the standard across the enterprise.
Now, suppose that there is a requirement that a standard working hour for the entire company will be 40 hours. But for a certain location, it is only 30 hours. For a certain department, it is only 30 hours. So what you will do is that you will set 40 hours for the entire enterprise, and for that specific department, you will change the working hour to 30. So we'll see how to do that.
That is at the different org levels, right? I mean, this is the, I mean, like on the parent level I was talking about.
Parent level, yeah.
Parent level.
So that is something I need my slide to be there. So we'll come back to this. Global person number language. So whenever you hire a person or you enter a detail of a person in organization, so there are generally two fields. One is to capture the global name and one is to capture the local name. So you can set that in which language you want your global name to appear. So 99% it is US. If you are actually using automatic, then you have to give a initial person number. So in our case, it is the initial person number is 1 lakh. If you are using manual, then it is not required. This portion I will come after discussing the employment model. Whenever you are actually creating a person.
If the client wants to upload the person number manually, but he also wants the prior to submission option for the new employees. Like if he's hiring a new person, he wants the prior to submission or after submission that option. Then how can that be done? Like for the original employees, he wants the manual stuff, and for new employees, he wants the prior to submission.
Okay, so original you will do a data load, conversion you will do. So in that case, what you have to do is that you will come to this place and you will set the person number generation as manual. Once you are done with the data conversion and everything is fine, you will come back to this place again and you will change the manual to automatic.
Okay, sorry.
To say, so you mean to say like you're going to freeze and unfreeze and again freeze it back?
Yeah. So for a data load, you will put it into manual because you are doing a data load and system is not yet live. So you can do whatever. So you can put it in a manual, do all the data load. Once the data load is complete, bring back to automatic and just give the system to the client that data load is complete, your system is live. Now your person number is set to automatic and this is the initial person number. Suppose that you are creating a person in the system and you want to actually put some validation on the duplicate record. Suppose that my record is already there in this company. I am hired again. I am a rehire case, but HR is trying to bring me as a hire. So in that case, what can be different possibilities by which you can actually initiate a duplicate check? So either you can select no duplicate validation. Okay. Either you can have a duplicate validation on a first name, last name and a date of birth or a national ID. You can use these validation, and as soon as suppose that you are trying to enter a person and you have opted for this second validation, and the national ID is same, then the system will give you an error or a validation warning that this person already exists in a system. So this is a different way by which coming to this point, user and role provisioning. So see, we discussed that there are two types of records in our HCM environment. One will be actual employee who is hired in the system, and one is the implementation user like us who have an account in a system. So we are called as a party user. You are actually saying that user account creation should be allowed for a normal employee or a party user. So if it is set to a party user and a person, then in that case, the system will allow you to create or hire a person also, and system will allow you to create an implementation user also, which the implementation user usually don't have any person number attached.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. Can you repeat this part? User account creation, RTM.
There are two types of record in the system. One is an employee record, which are actually generally the employee of a company. After go live, HR will use the system to actually hire an employee. They will have a person number attached to their record. But we are implementation user. We are also using this instance. For example, this test6.prc. This is also a user which is actually doing all those implementation activities and all those functional configuration. But this test.prc is not having any person number attached because this is an implementation user account. So the implementation user are also said as party users. So you are saying that system should allow the user account creation for both the implementation user as well as the normal employee. So if you make this as a none, so in that case, for nobody, the user account will be created. If you make it as a party user, that means only for the implementation user, the user account creation is allowed.
So what is a user account exactly?
A user account, so you have a login credential and a password which you use to log into the environment. So that is your account. So whenever you hire a person, a user ID and a password is generated. So that is the person user account. Does that answer your question? Whether you want the role, how you want, we have a different roles in system, like we have HR specialist, benefit administrator. So you want how the role should be attached, whether the role should be attached only to the employee or you are actually allowing the system that the role can be also attached to the implementation. Now user account maintenance. So again, suppose that whether how you want your user account to be expired. So suppose that if a password is not changed for this and this state, the user account get expired. So whether you want the user, that is called maintenance. System do the maintenance automatically. It is actually, if you're not changing the password, it is actually locking your account or deactivating your account. So in that case, this is called the maintenance activity. So system is saying that whether you can set that whether the account or the maintenance should be done for only for employee or whether the maintenance activity will also be done for the implementation user. Again, you can select the option. Now there is an option that suppose a client want to migrate the terminated employees also. Client is actually migrating the data of last 10 years. In last 10 years, maybe there can be 100 terminated employees. So whether you want to create a user account for them also, yes or no. If you want, then you can select the option there, yes. If you don't want, you can select no. If you will select yes, though the user account will be created, but it will be inactivated. So any question on this user and role provisioning?
What about the history? Like I want to load the history of the employee. History. Maintain the history.
Account history you are saying.
See, you said terminated workers, right? An employee may be terminated, rehired, right? So let us say for past 10 years he might have rehired 5 times. You see, and he may be active or inactive at this point of time. Well, how is that handled here? Like, I mean, you said like user account creation for the terminated employees means will that itself take care, or is there any other provision for rehire or the history?
Sure. Suppose that you have migrated the 10-year data and that includes 100 employees and those were terminated. So suppose that if you're trying to rehire out of those 100 employees, so you can use a rehire option. We will see in that day 3 how to do a rehire. So in that case, system will remember most of the details like your first name, last name, your previous legal entity, your SSN, and everything system will remember. That is one case. Now suppose that you want to do a rehire, but you don't have that person available in the system. So in that case, you will use the hire option. Now, if a person is available, you will do a rehire. As soon as you do a rehire, the account will get activated.
Yeah, I get your point. Like, see, the user account creation, I was just, does it allow for the history also? That's what I wanted. You said only for the user account creation for terminated workers, right?
It will allow for the history also. See, for terminated, it will be there because if you hire an employee and if you terminate, for hire at the time of hiring only the user account is created. This option is only used for the historical data.
Okay. So that
Getting a
option
point
is
about
available.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
In case like the terminated employees want to use access for any benefits information, I think like that. Okay, I got your point. All right.
If employees
So
already
the account will be
hired,
available.
terminate.
Account will be available.
Yeah. If you select this yes option, then coming below we have these payroll related informations which we have certain. You can also store some 10 payroll elements which you want to archive on a day-to-day basis. So these informations can be captured here. You can also store some US balances definitions which we generally use in payroll. So all those things can be done. This position synchronization is something which I will come back when we are done with the position exercise, because at this time it will be hard to understand. Now coming to this, you can also set that suppose that if somebody is trying to do a future dated hiring, or if somebody is trying to do any future dated transaction, then how the system should behave. So you can select that whether it should error out or whether it should give you a warning or nothing should happen. So suppose that you are trying to you are trying to do some changes on the assignment of a person after 2 months, and in the next 1 month there is also a future dated record that is like the person was terminated, the person is going to be terminated, and you are trying to do manager change or something after 2 months. So how you want your system to behave, whether the system should give you an error that hey, you cannot do the changes because the person is going to be terminated in next 1 month. So you can set all those things, or whether you want nothing to happen, or whether you want error to come, or whether you want a warning. So all these things can. Just whenever you actually initiate any transaction, a list of approvers will come. So whether you want that list of approver, the entire list to be collapsed, or whether you want to be expanded view, so you can control it from yes or no there. Then you have this validation for existing subordinate termination. So suppose that there is a person and the person is a manager and the person is having 4 or 5 different reportees under him. So if you are terminating a manager, so how you want the system to behave? Whether the system should give you an error that you cannot terminate this manager because the person is having 5 reportees, or you want to give a warning that okay, you are terminating, but see that this person is having 5 reportees. Still, if a person goes and clicks submit, then the person will get terminated, or you want nothing to happen. So all these settings is something which we can control here. Then we have a setting like you can hire somebody as a pending worker also, not as a normal employee. Maybe you are doing a future dated hiring, so you can hire the person as a pending worker, and as soon as the person appears in your organization, you can convert a pending worker to employee. So whether you want to convert the pending worker to employee either manually or you want to do it by a process, so you can actually control all those things here. Then there's also an option for this recruiting integration. So we actually do an integration with Taleo recruiting. So how you want your integrations to be done, whether it will be a custom, whether it will be done with HCM Connect, so all these things can be controlled here. So whenever you actually hire an employee, so your enterprise seniority date is whether you're actually the first date of enterprise or you want it to be controlled in some other way. So you can do all those settings in this place. So there are many other settings. I think once we are done with all 5 days of training, then you can come back and revisit this screen again. So it can actually help you to understand a lot of other things.
Hey, bring a question, quick question. On the recruiting integration, you mentioned Talio, right? So will there be an option directly you can integrate with Talio or any other system?
No, it is only for Talio. So recruiting integration, how you want to be done. So we can use either by HCM Connect, there's a way to do that, or whether you are using Oracle seeded the process, or whether you are using your own custom. So in case of custom, you can leave it blank.
So for Talio, you select one of those options.
It is not required. See, the thing is, if you select, it is like for your purpose to remember that how you have done your Talio integration. If you don't capture it also, you can do it. There is no way or nothing stopping you. It is like for somebody who comes at this place, so the person will be able to see all the details, like how the system, how the entire enterprise is behaving.
Praveen, this is Sandeep. So this screen
Yes,
is mainly for all the validations, like when you do an import all the employee or right?
Yeah, this screen is for all the validations, first thing, and second thing for all the setting which we can do at an enterprise level, or any information which we want to be set up at an enterprise level, which will flow down to the lower component.
Okay. So unlike in EBS, when you do a conversion or when you do an interface, you do a lot of validations. So in this case, we do all the export import. The Fusion will take care of all the validations behind the scenes.
It will take care of the validations which is defined in this place. But other than these validations, also there are the validations which is taking care internally. Now let me take an example. Suppose that you are trying to migrate a person record, okay? And in a person record you are trying to migrate SSN. And for SSN, if you see, there is no validation given at this place that how the SSN should be. What is the naming? What is the actually there in SSN? You have to enter in a specific format. So there is no validation, such validation for that SSN there. Now, suppose that if you are passing the data by either by an interface or you are loading a data, and if you are giving SSN in a wrong format, then the system will also give you error at that time that your SSN is not in a correct format. Please correct the data.
Yeah, got that. Yeah.
So maybe some validations which are quite generic in nature are at this place, but it doesn't mean that these are the only validations. Whenever you explore the system, you will see there's a lot of other validations also.